Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Christian Indie Artists and Songwriters Podcast. I'm your host, Brian, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about keeping the wonder. Now, at the time of this upload, it is Christmas Eve, 2021. So first thing I want to say is I hope that you and your family are having a very Merry Christmas. I hope that this season has been full of joy and peace and comfort for you. I know for me, we've been doing a lot of things down here on the East Coast of Florida, but we're always trying to do our best to put family first and enjoy all the festivities. We have a really cool park here in town called Wickham Park, and they do a big light show where you basically drive through and there's hot chocolate and there's other things. There's a Christmas town. You can do all these things. We actually saw this year that they have a horse-drawn carriage, so we might actually do that next year because that would be pretty cool because it's a really nice park and they do a really great job lighting it up. So that's one of our Christmas traditions. We've been doing that ever since my daughter was 0 years old. I remember the first time we did it, she actually slept the whole time, but we enjoyed it and we've done it every year since. So this was like our 8th year of doing that. But all to say, I hope that you're having a great Christmas season. I hope that you're not getting too stressed out. I know that we have a lot of things to do and a lot of people to buy presents for and all that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we are celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, our Savior. And that is the most important thing. He's such an awesome Savior that he wants us to celebrate and give each other gifts too. So as we remember that he is the reason for the season, we celebrate that. I hope that you're having a great time this year. And for today's content and encouragement, I wanted to talk about keeping the wonder. You know, my wife Susan and I were talking about this concept of the wonder of it all. If we lose the wonder, then what are we doing it for? And then it becomes more of a routine job and it's not as fun. And of course, there are always elements of any pursuit that aren't necessarily the best fit for us. Maybe they're not as fun, but they're still necessary. On this episode, I want to go through 4 things that I think can help us keep the wonder on our musical journey. And those 4 things are consistently expanding our comfort zone, creating creative deadlines for ourselves, being okay with being excited, and also sharing the wonder with others. And I think if we have these 4 elements baked into everything that we do, we'll continue to be excited and inspired. Because if we get caught up in the routine of just writing, recording, releasing, writing, recording, releasing, yes, it's exciting and it's fun, but if we just do it to do it, I think it loses its luster, it loses its wonder, and then it's not as exciting as it once was. And honestly, I feel like it could be easier to kind of let it go and give up, because if it just becomes work, if it becomes a routine thing that we just do because we feel pressured to or feel like we have to do it, then what are we doing it for? And I feel like that defeats the purpose, because if you're anything like me, you got into songwriting and music because you loved an instrument or you loved a band or both, and you started doing that at a younger age, and then that inspiration to chase that feeling that you got from other people's music that created this feeling in you, you wanted to take that a step further and create that yourself and share that with others. So if we don't have the wonder, if we lose the wonder, then we kind of have a more difficult time doing that, which is the original inspiration behind it all. So let's jump into these 4 categories, and I want to talk about it, and hopefully it'll help you keep the wonder on your music journey too. So point number 1 to always keeping the wonder is consistently and constantly expanding our own comfort zone. Something we hear a ton of is that people get in creative ruts, they face writer's block, and they don't have the energy or the inspiration to create something new. I haven't personally faced this a bunch, but I will also say that I have always done a lot of different things, a lot of different vibes, a lot of different styles of music. So I'm kind of always drawing from new inspiration. Yes, it is important to niche down, find your lane, get at the expert level of that, and continue to get there. Because once we get to an expert level in a particular genre or style, then we can keep pushing that and get better and better. But for me personally, my tastes have always kind of been all over the place. As I've said many times before, when I was in a country band, I wrote country songs. When I was a worship leader, I wrote worship songs. When I had dogs, I wrote rap parodies about the dogs. Same thing when I had young kids. I've written tons of songs for my wife. Now I'm writing CCM, pop, worship, sync, rock, all kinds of songs. And it's just, for me, it's helped keep me inspired. It's helped me keep the wonder of it all, because I've never kind of gotten bored or stuck in one thing. And I think that's a challenge, because some of us are really good at what we do, but we don't push ourselves outside of our own comfort zone. And then we end up repeating ourselves enough to where it's just like, hey, I don't know if I really enjoy this as much as I once did, because basically you're just trying to recreate the best version of the same song. So does that mean you have to write wildly different or record and release wildly different genres? Totally not. But it might be as simple as, hey, let's do a fast song. We haven't done a fast song in a while. Let's write a mid-tempo. Let's write a slow song. Although most of us probably write a lot more slow songs than fast songs. It's just the nature of our moody songwriter selves. But I think it's important to continue to figure out what it is that we're comfortable with, taking healthy doses of kind of nudging ourselves outside, because the wider our comfort zone gets, the more we're doing things outside of what we have already done, which to me is exciting. And that's actually a personal goal of mine for this new year, 2022, for writing and releasing songs, is I've always released a song a month every month since September of 2018. But in 2022, I'm actually going to pull back on that for the first time and only release 4 or 5 songs. But each song I release, I'm going to put more marketing and more push behind it, try to do everything as excellent as possible, because when I first started releasing music, I was only basically working on my own music. These days, just did a recap of my own personal work of this year, and I've worked on over 80 songs, a lot of those, most of those being for other artists. So I don't have the same time that I did to focus solely on my own releases. So I'm going to pull back on releasing every month, release every 2 to 3 months, but do a bigger push for each release. But with that, every song I release, I have a lot of songs to pull from songs I've co-written with a lot of people along the way, but I only want to release songs that kind of make me nervous. I know that might sound weird, but those butterflies, I'm kind of chasing those butterflies of, if I don't feel that feeling, then that means I'm probably not pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I'm probably not doing something new, and that's probably not going to be as exciting as it could be. Now, this ebbs and flows, of course. You know, what's exciting to me in 2022 might not be exciting in 2023 or 2025 or whatever. And the same is true for you. So that's my challenge to you and to myself, is to let's push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. And that's a great way to keep the wonder on our music journey. So number 2, and this might be the most unpopular point of these 4 points, but creating creative deadlines. And yes, that's creating creative deadlines. Now, I think that something that we can all get caught up in is the perfectionism pursuit. And that is where we just will not let something go. We'll keep mulling over it. We'll keep changing it. We'll keep tweaking it. I think there's a lot of psychology behind that. For me, I think a lot of it has to do with we just don't want to be done with that project because we feel like we really enjoy it and it's fun. And we don't want it to end, because if it ends, then we have to start something new, or maybe we don't have anything new. Whatever the case is, or the other side of that coin is that we're striving for perfection and we do everything we can to make it perfect. And perfection is basically impossible. It's not impossible. We can make things sound perfect, but there's so many layers to the songwriting, releasing process that you could easily tweak something forever. You could always change a lyric. You could always change a melody. You could always change an EQ. You can always change a compressor. You can always change a mix. You can always change something. So if we create creative deadlines and say, okay, this song is going to be done by this date, and that's it. Now, of course, it's up to us. Can we change that if we really needed to? If something is wrong or off or something is bad, of course, we're going to change it because we want to be represented in our best. But if we can actually create a deadline and stick to it, I think that will help preserve the wonder. Because I know for me, if I work on a song too long and get too dug into it, it kind of will choke out the inspiration. The creativity will kind of lose its luster. The wonder will kind of dissipate because it's not fun anymore. Because whatever that inspirational spark was, whatever that thing that started this whole project off, if you go over it too many times and you make too many tweaks, in my experience, then you kind of lose the whole inspiration and it just becomes work. And yeah, like I said in the beginning, there are a lot of aspects of this that are work, but keeping the inspiration is so vital. I know the projects that I've worked on for myself and for artists that have been, and it's not just a quick thing. It doesn't have to be just, oh, we finished a song in 5 days and it's done. I mean, that could be part of it, but I think another thing too is just like letting it breathe and also letting it be, like the famous Beatles song, Let It Be. Sometimes letting things be is the best thing you can do to keep the wonder with it. We want to make everything our best. Yes, we want to make everything excellent, but we don't want to essentially tarnish our projects in the pursuit of perfection. I think when we can create creative deadlines, set ourselves up, give ourselves actual boundaries that we can hit, because we all know that the famous Pareto's law, that however much time we have is how much time we need. So if we give ourselves a month, we will finish it on a month on the 25th hour. If we give ourselves 2 weeks, the same. If we give ourselves 3 years, it'll take us 3 years to finish it. So by creating deadlines, hitting those deadlines, we'll keep the wonder going and we'll create inspiring songs that we're excited to share with the world. Number 3 is it's okay to be excited. I think there's some pressure in culture to not show excitement, to not show emotion. I'm not sure what that is. I have my own thoughts on it. I feel like it could be because if we show excitement, we're being vulnerable. And if we're showing ourselves as we're so excited about something and then it doesn't do as well as we thought, there's opening ourselves up for embarrassment, for the letdown, because people will be like, wow, why are they so excited about that if it totally flopped or whatever? But I think that is really condemning and really difficult to navigate, because if we're not going to be excited about it, for one, if we're not excited about it, how can we share and how can we inspire others to be excited about what we're doing? And two, if we're not excited about it, again, kind of pointing back to what we've said before, if we're not excited, then it just becomes a mundane task. It's not fun. It's not exciting. There's no wonder in that, because we're just doing it to do it because we're afraid to show. And the thing is, if you're like me, and I think that you are, if you're an artist and a songwriter, you love your songs. They are exciting to you. And if they're not, then what are we doing it for? So that's why I believe that they are. So sharing that excitement, I think, is vital to keeping the wonder, because when people can feel that excitement, even if it's through the internet, that's fine. You still can communicate excitement. You can still communicate joy. You can still communicate all of the good things, the inspiration, the encouragement behind your song and why you made it. And by sharing that, it will bring that on to other people, because there's people that need your song. There's people that need your artistry. There's people that need your encouragement. And you have to be excited about that to communicate. I don't know if you've ever been to a concert. Usually the front man or woman on the stage is really excited. They're usually really happy to be there, and they're drawing you into that. And their mood sets the temperature for the rest of the room. And the same thing goes for you and your artistry. So be excited and share the wonder of your music, and it'll keep going. And then people get to know you, and they'll say, hey, that's the person who's encouraging and excited about what they're doing. I want to figure that out. And as a Christian indie artist and songwriter, the joy comes from within. So ultimately, we're going to draw people back to the joy of Jesus. Don't be afraid to be excited. You love doing this. You want people to know about this, so let them see it and watch. The wonder of your music journey will always be there when you are excited about it. And the last one, and this kind of goes hand in hand with being excited, it is to share the excitement. Nobody will know how excited you are about something unless you're okay with letting them know. Post about it. Make videos about it. Your songs should share your excitement, yes, but also ultimately you are what shares your music. You are the brand. You are the main thing that people are drawn into. If people are a fan of your music, it means they're a fan of you. I don't know if you're like me at all, but unfortunately, across my music fandom of different artists, I love a song, I love a band, but then if I start watching interviews or something about them, or start watching live shows, and I kind of see their character, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it just might not be their personality just may not resonate with me personally. I'll tend to kind of shy away from listening to their music naturally, just because I didn't resonate with them for whatever reason. And it could be totally the opposite. If I find a band and they're just amazing and I just feel like we're just instant friends, even though in a sad way I know it's not true, but I feel like I am, then I'm even more of a fan. And that goes the same for you. Not everyone's going to be your fan. Not everyone's going to be your follower. Not everyone's going to love your music. But there's going to be a lot of people who do, as long as they know it exists. And that only comes through sharing it and sharing the joy and sharing the excitement of it. You know, there's that famous blog post, 1,000 True Fans, that all we basically need is 1,000 true fans to have a full-time career in music. That seems so small. It might seem big to you, but think about it. There's 1,000 people probably within 1 square mile of you, or 10 square miles of you, depending on where you are. So it doesn't take that much, because the math behind it is if 1,000 people spend $100 with you a year, meaning like buying your music, coming to a show, buying some merch or something, then that is $100,000 a year. That's a 6-figure income from only 1,000 true fans that promote. They're your ambassadors. The way that we build those 1,000 true fans is by sharing, is by letting people know that we're there, letting people know about our mission and our vision. Last week, we had an amazing interview with Temitape, and he has an incredible platform of what he's building, so that people know that when they find him, they know what they're getting into, they know what they're supporting, and they know about his mission and vision. And I think as an artist and a songwriter, that is exactly what we all should be doing, to let people know what we're all about, so that they know what they're getting into, or they know what they're not getting into. But being clear and specific is a really good way to keep the wonder as we're sharing the excitement and the joy of our journey. So that's it. the 4 ways I think we can keep the wonder on our music journey. Consistently expanding our comfort zone, creating creative deadlines, being excited, and sharing our excitement with anyone who wants to listen. So I hope that helps you on your journey. I'm excited for this new year coming up. We still have one more episode before the new year, but I wanted to say it again. I hope that you and your family have a very Merry Christmas. And if you're listening to this in July of 2024, I hope that you're going to have a very Merry Christmas. I'm not sure that's the nature of these podcasts. It's amazing. As more and more people listen, they kind of start at the beginning and they go forward. So I don't know when you're hearing this, but regardless how close or far from Christmas you are, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. And I look forward to seeing you next week at 5 a.m. on the CIAS podcast.